HuckyTalk.
HuckyTalker.
Hey, look, we're doing a week 2 video for the football.
Week 2 ranking talk.
Week 2. It's week 10.
Week 2 for us, because it's a week.
Oh, God. So we're going over what happened in the week 10.
A lot of upsets. So
apparently this is a historic week for upsets. So I'm going to read you the ESPN article I found online that says...
We're citing sources. We're getting big and famous one day.
So the biggest news is that Syracuse and Virginia are both ranked now this week, and they broke super long runs of being unranked, apparently. Syracuse hadn't been ranked since 2001.
Okay.
Virginia hadn't been ranked since 2011. One's a lot different from the other, but yeah, Syracuse is finally ranked at number 22 in the nation. They're bowl eligible for the first time in 3 years. Or longer. I don't remember how long it's been since they've been bowl eligible.
Good job, Syracuse. I've been really rooting for you.
We've been rooting for you this season because we could see at the very beginning that you were probably going to do some special things.
Especially when you kicked Western Michigan's ass. Thank you. Love you.
Broncos. All right, so 11 teams that were ranked in the top 25 this week lost. We're upset, basically.
That's crazy. I don't think has that ever been that many teams?
It says it's historic in some way. I don't know if it's
it's historic of the fact that it's never happened before?
8 ranked teams losing to unranked teams is a record for the top 25 era.
That's crazy.
8 unranked teams beat the ranked teams. We're starting to get into an era of college football here where things are just going to keep getting crazier, I think, because more talent is going to more schools.
And also more talent, be not only diversifying and everything, but the rankings are not too logical. Again, I'm going to go to the correlation of that too. These teams that are ranked probably shouldn't be ranked because they keep losing the teams consistently to non-ranked teams who also seem to be really good. Beginning of the season, when Syracuse beat Western Michigan, okay, no big deal. But when Syracuse then kept winning and winning and winning against teams that were not bad and not too shabby and winning by pretty large margins, even Florida State, who's not the greatest team this year by any stretch of the word, but they're not slouches, and it's not like you can come to their house and just beat the crap out of them.
Unless you're Clemson.
Shut up. I was going to say that. Shut up. But they're a good team, and they should, when they took on Clemson and barely lost to Clemson because they were ahead most of that game, by the way, I felt like they should have been ranked. That should have even the fact that they couldn't have won against Clemson, who's ranked second in the nation, they probably means that they are good enough to be ranked. And now that they are ranked, kind of proves my point that
Syracuse. Yep.
Yeah, Syracuse deserves to be ranked. And they are ranked, and it's good. And it's because they take on really good opponents. And this entire ranking system, I'm just going to keep harping about it until something changes, because it's bad. It's just bad. I mean, 8 non-ranked teams beat ranked teams this season in 1 week.
Yeah, the prediction... I mean, we've talked about preseason rankings kind of being stupid. But what I do want to mention first is that we have some newcomers to the top 25, obviously. And we have number 17, Houston, is in for the first time since 2016. Houston's up there. Then we have Utah State. That's just pretty awesome. The Aggies. Go Aggies. They finally in since 2016 as well. And then we also have Fresno State.
I haven't seen them in a long time.
Which they haven't been ranked in a while. They were ranked last season, apparently.
Wait, what, really? They were ranked last season?
Yeah, it says was ranked briefly last season.
Did they sneeze themselves into rankings?
I guess they did the same thing to Appalachian State
this
week.
Bye.
Because Appalachian State snuck into 25 this week, then lost to Georgia State by a lot.
That does help. Yeah, that does happen.
Which Georgia State only received votes this week. They haven't been ranked yet, but they're 7-1, so that could happen really soon. The actual statistic that I brought up earlier, I reread and realized I was wrong. So it says, over the past 10 years on average, a little less than 2 teams that start the season ranked in the AP Top 10 finish the season unranked. So, on average, 2 teams who start in the top 10 are unranked by the end of the season. That's a That seems pretty crazy.
So,
to be honest,
I actually don't. I
mean, it's not out of the question. Because I mean, a lot of them do face each other. There are upsets every year with teams that
really
are good
mind
that are
per
not
se.
ranked. Like, they face.
Like the suggestion I just gave up, where I was like, start off, being top 25, all the rankings of 101 to 130, all of them being where they start off the end of the season. And I'm talking about end of the season after the bowl game, like after their bowl game, where they're ranked. And that's the ranking you go with next season. So next year, if you do have a team that had a hot shot, I remember Wake Forest, not a couple of years back, where Wake Forest became like an amazing program, where like I think 2 or 3 years they were ranked in the top 15 and stuff like that. And we never used to see, Wake Forest used to be a joke team in the ACC and everything like that. And they had amazing couple seasons where they were ranked really high, and that happens. But if we had the system where they get ranked and they were consistently ranked in that same kind of location, and then they just drop off because they keep losing, that's just the sport. And by the way, we love watching teams lose in the rankings. We love ranking fallouts all the time. I said that in the last conversation too. We love it. It makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love it to see it happen when it makes sense. I don't like seeing teams constantly being ranked high when they have 4 losses in their rankings because they quote-unquote face tough teams. That doesn't make any sense. I really, where are we at, top 25? Let's just go, down the list real quick.
All right, so here's the top 25 for Week 10, for the current week. We have Alabama number 1.
Makes sense.
Clemson number 2.
Makes sense.
Notre Dame number 3.
Makes sense.
Number 4, LSU.
Makes sense.
Number 5, Michigan.
Yep.
3 of those teams didn't even play this week.
Yeah.
Then we have Georgia, who at number 6, who beat out good
Florida. They beat
team.
out Florida, so they obviously deserve to be there.
They moved up a spot. That's all they moved up.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And then Oklahoma's number 7. I don't even know if they play this week.
No, but is Oklahoma 2 losses or are they 1?
No, they're 1 loss.
Okay, so that's fine. I'm okay with it. So far everything in this ranking's okay. Makes sense.
Number 8, Ohio State. Too high, in my opinion.
It still is too high. It's still too high.
Still too high.
I'm about to just go back on what I just said. Put UCF right number 4. UCF number 4 because they're undefeated. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's just
everything else has worked so far until
it's just a blatant we have 3-0 teams, then 7-1, 7-1, 7-1, 7-1, 7-1, 7-0. Oh,
7-0.
7-0.
Oh, look at that.
Why are they down there?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, strength of schedule. Wow, it means so much in the face of winning and losing in this. No,
it means too much. It means way too much.
Why does it mean that much?
It means way too much. It makes no sense.
Yeah, if you win, you should be. We already explained that last week. Go back and watch that video if you want to hear more about it, because we can't elaborate on it.
I don't want to beat on a dead horse. I really don't.
Don't beat on the dead horse, Leon. Don't do that. I don't want
to. It's a poor dead horse.
And we have Washington State, number 10. They beat another ranked team this week because they get to earn that spot.
Yeah.
And we have Kentucky, who barely won their game against Missouri this week.
But they won, so it's still, I don't mind them being there. I don't mind them being there. 3 spots too. I mean, a lot of change-up happened. I'll accept that. Yeah.
West Virginia, 6-1, moving up the rankings at number 12. That's. I mean, they're having a pretty. They've been a good team for quite a few years now, but that's actually pretty surprising how far up they are now. Florida didn't move down that much, 6-2. Penn State.
I'm about to get mad at the end of this.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans.
I'm about to get mad. I'll explain. I'll just continue. I'm about to blow up. It's okay. It's fine.
Florida at number 13. Penn State at number 14. Texas at number 15. Utah at number 16. That's pretty cool. But Florida, Penn State, Texas, and Utah all have 2 losses, which I believe Leon wants to blow up about. But I'll finish the rankings first before we do that. So
that's not the biggest problem.
Oh,
keep going.
Number 17 is Houston. 18, Utah State. Wow, Utah has 2 teams in the top 25 now. I think that's their only 2 teams are both ranked. That's pretty awesome.
BYU is also in Utah.
BYU, nobody knows about BYU being in Utah. So sorry, Utah fans. That's kind of mean of me to say. Again, join a conference, please. Why are there independent
Is BYU
teams?
still out of a conference?
They don't have a conference.
Join a conference. Do it.
Join a conference. Iowa, number 19. Fresno State, number 20. Mississippi State, 3 losses. First 3 loss team at 21. Better than some years still, to be honest. Syracuse, number 22. Virginia at 23. Boston College at number 24. And Texas A&M at number 25, who just lost this week, and they dropped to the bottom of the rankings. And they just can't let them be unranked yet this year for some reason.
Okay, so Houston, USF, UCF are all in the same conference. If I remember correctly, they're all in the same conference. And they all have 1 losses, and most of their 1 losses are between each other. That's a good conference, in my argument, if they all have only 1 losses between all of each other, and they have better rankings and better situations than Texas A&M, than Florida, than
Penn State, Texas.
Mississippi State, who's got 3 losses and are in the top 25, and we got teams like I don't see USF anywhere. I don't really
USF lost this week.
Do we have Houston? Houston's up there. Cool. Houston's up there. Houston beat USF.
Beat them. Yeah.
But if we're gonna do the same logic and treat every conference the same, wouldn't it make a lot of sense to have USF be number 25 and outbid Texas A&M, who also lost, by the way, to Mississippi State? And Mississippi State is a 5-3 team. Why did they get to jump? Like, not even jump, but they soared into
the top 25.
The top 25. They're 21. They soared in there. They didn't just barely breach it. They didn't even go and they went past Texas A&M, so I guess that's fair. But it's Texas A&M shouldn't be ranked then. Why are they 21? They lost 3 games. You're just gonna ignore 3 games? This system just makes no sense. It just doesn't. There's no real logic to it. There's not a lot of math to it. It's just, who do we like? What conferences do we like to focus on? Where do we like to see the wins and losses happen? Oh, it's so sad that Florida, who lost to Georgia, only gets to drop 2 or 3 rankings, go down. But they lost twice this season. They've lost twice. They don't deserve the recognition as other teams who've still got only 1-loss teams. There's not a lot of undefeated teams left. So we got to focus on the 1 losses and 2 losses. And if you got 2 losses, you're behind the 1 losses. It just makes a lot more sense that way. It really does. It narrows down the championship view tremendously.
Again, too much focus on strength of schedule.
Yeah, it's way too focused on it.
I used to buy into the fact that it's strength of schedule, sure, but really when you think about it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, except for the fact that we have conferences that we like to say, oh, they're just a really good conference.
It should go. This is how I believe it should firmly go, and I'll do a long video on this one day. Division, conference, win-loss is huge, because your conference determines where you're going to go. If you go to conference championship, you're going to go into the Final Four. It's just going to happen that way. It makes a lot of sense.
If you win the conference championship.
If you win the conference championship, you get to go to Final Four. Now, here's the thing. Well, there are more than 4 conferences. You're right. So 4 of the teams get to go. 4 teams get to go in the conference. That's when point differential and then strength of schedule becomes a big deal. That's when it becomes a big deal. But you have to look at the wins and losses first. And so if an undefeated team goes in, like right now, my Final Four, and I'm calling it now, is Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, UCF. That's my Final Four. Based on what I've seen here. There's 4 undefeated teams.
A bold prediction for this college football playoff committee.
Yeah. That's the Final Four for right now. There's a lot of football to still be played, so we'll figure it out if it happens.
If everything goes the way it's supposed to right now, either LSU or Michigan's going to fit that spot.
I know. But right now,
this is the way it's going to be, unfortunately.
I know. I'm not even. This is not me gonna be mad. It's saying oh my god, I can't believe they did it again. I'm just showing off the ludicrousy of it. It's ridiculous. Alabama, Clemson, and Notre Dame haven't lost, so obviously they get to go.
Yeah.
They get to go. So if that's the same argument that we're making here, wouldn't it make sense that a 4th person who's undefeated should get to go? Maybe.
Makes sense in my mind.
Makes a lot of sense. If there's 4 undefeated teams at the end of the season and we need to have a tournament bracket to knock out all the undefeated teams, those are my 4. Just makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. Now, if these teams end up losing and there gets to be tie-ups and stuff like that, I will then tell you, how about we do this for the rest of the week now? We just
Make
predict
our
predictions for the Final Four. Like every other sports anchor does it, why don't we do the same?
Sure. Okay, so my... based off of this week, I mean, obviously Alabama, Clemson, and Notre Dame have all earned their spot so far. The fourth one is the one that's hard for me because, I mean, UCF definitely deserves that right now. They definitely deserve it. At the same time, it's like, what... It's hard to say that UCF has truly earned that spot until they go undefeated throughout the season.
Right, but
if they are undefeated at the end of the season, then it's like, yeah, go.
So here's my argument then. The moment that they lose, the moment I stop talking about UCF. Seriously.
Yeah.
The moment they lose, the moment I stop talking about it. So right now, those 4 teams, those are my picks. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, UCF. Those are my teams.
My 4 teams would be Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and... See, it's 4 through 6 are ones that are just like stand out to me the most right now. Although Georgia's been a little inconsistent. LSU deserves to go over Georgia. Michigan hasn't faced either of them. It's really hard for me to choose between LSU and Michigan right now.
I would pick Michigan. And here's why I pick Michigan. Because LSU, Georgia, and Alabama have to all face each other at some point in the conference championship. So they're going to get more losses. And are you seriously going to be on the same bandwagon of putting a 2-loss team back into the Final Four?
I mean, if LSU runs the table, sure, they get to go over Michigan. But also Michigan has to face more tough opponents this season.
I'm just saying, but if Alabama... If LSU... Wait, does that even work?
They are.
Or in the same division?
Yeah, they are. So one of them's going to get knocked out.
So they don't even get to go division-wise. I'm predicting Alabama's going to win that game. I predict Alabama going undefeated this season. I just do. I think they have the team to do. I think
there's no reason to believe they won't right now.
Yeah, I think they have a solid team. I think they're doing everything absolutely right.
Sorry for shaking the camera. I keep doing that.
I think they're going to win. I think they're going to go completely undefeated. So I'm not even worried about that. Clemson most likely is going to go undefeated too because the ACC is just not doing it. They're just not doing what they need to beat Clemson. They're doing what they need to be really good programs. They're doing what they need to beat the crap out of each other, but they're not doing what they need to beat Clemson. Clemson's being really, really good. Notre Dame might lose. I'm actually predicting them to lose. I don't think they face Clemson this year. If they do face Clemson, then I think Clemson's going to beat Notre Dame, and that might actually knock them out. But for right now, my Final Four is Alabama. Well, I already told you my Final Four. I don't even need to go through it all again.
Dang. Okay, so I was looking at the Big Ten because Michigan-Ohio State looks like it's going to be a super important game for determining who goes to the Final Four. I feel like whoever wins that game and is able to win the conference championship for the Big Ten as well gets to go. Because somebody's going to get knocked out for LSU or Alabama. One of them's going to get knocked out of that. And then one of the 5, Michigan or Ohio State, they're going to get knocked out in their own end of the season rivalry game. And then they have to beat possibly Northwestern because they're 2 wins ahead of anybody else right now in that division. Because that division is just not that great. Right now I would pick Michigan because seeing everything that we just talked about, I picked Michigan to be number 4 in the college playoff.
Okay.
And obviously Notre Dame.
And you know what? That's kind of fair to me though too, because that's the other thing too I can't stand is the fact that there should be more. Like people are like, well, why can't 2 people of the same conference go into the same?
Because they're second best from the conference. You don't get to go to the best.
Exactly.
The best of the best.
Here's the problem. There's too many teams. There's too many conferences. There's too many teams in this kind of league to have that kind of argument. It just is. If you lose your spot to be number 1 in your conference, you don't get to go. You just don't. Now, if you have a 16-man bracket, then we'll have a very different conversation. We'll have a very different conversation about that. But if it's a 4-man bracket right now,
how many conferences are there?
10.
There are 10 conferences, so that's 6 other teams that have at-large bid possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go to the rankings for that, basically.
Then you would go to the rankings and make a lot of sense.
Hey, everybody's fair. Everybody's good.
We're gonna change. We're gonna change college football into a better place.
We're changing college football.
We're gonna
here
do
on
it.
The HuckyTalker channel.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna give it to the people. We're gonna give you what you want. We're gonna give you cookies when you want them.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you Take 2 if you want that.
Take 2.
Or if you're on the keto diet, we'll give you some nice
2
keto ice cream.
4.
Hey, thanks for joining us again this week. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to keep listening to us, promote us, share it with your friends. I don't know. We think we're funny. Do you think we're funny?
I'm not funny. I actually don't think I'm funny.
I'm hilarious.
Cool. Like, comment, subscribe.
Thanks for that self-promotion, Leon. He's
Take two.
he's doing that hustle work, you know.
Take 2.
You can do take 2 twice.
Take 4.
Take 2.0. 5.
Take 2 times 2 makes 4. Now divide that by 2. Get 2.
By 2. Yeah. So,
Math lessons by Leon Bedard.